Scott Thaler, your host of Great Scott. Tonight we're going to talk about a lady, Barbara Millicent Roberts, better known as Barbie. Well, Barbie and Ken were named after the creator's kids, and they were actually brothers and sisters. Now that's pretty kinky. But Mattel brought Barbie out around March 9th, 1959, and was kind of a hoopla going on because the little girls loved her, but the mothers and grandmothers thought she was a little bit well endowed on top, and her measurements didn't actually add up to a normal woman. Her body fat at her proportions would not sustain her life, so Barbie would have died, like a week later. So Mattel did do something about it later on, but they already made so many Barbies, so they had to sell them. And Ken was brought in 1961 as a boyfriend to Barbie. And actually, back in those days, a woman needed a man. Nowadays, a woman's self-sufficient, doesn't need a man, even though she might want one. She can get a job and work, make her own money, pay her own bills, bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan. And then around 1964, they brought in Midge, was a friend to her, and that went pretty well. And then the same year, they brought her sister Skipper in, so that made the parents go out and have to buy 2 more dolls. And the little girls were all wanting the 3 dolls or 4 dolls, and the parents would get them for them. I believe in 1968, Barbie had some friends of color, not particularly blacks, but Asians and all that. So some of the little girls were kind of happy because they had Barbies that looked like them. And then in 1980, the first black Barbie was introduced, which was a big hit and made a lot of little girls of color happy. So they even thought about packaging Barbie and Ken together, but they wouldn't do it because Barbie was actually dating G.I. Joe at the time in 1964, made by Hasbro, and she wasn't quite happy with Ken because they were supposed to be packaged together, and they were supposed to come together, but Barbie couldn't come with Ken. She could only come with G.I. Joe. So that's a long story about that. Oh, by the way, if you have any children watching this, make them leave the room because I don't think you want to explain what I just said. And then there was the thing about Barbie wasn't anatomically correct because she didn't have any genitals. And Mattel took a long look at this and they said, no, we're not going to put a vagina on Barbie. That would be too gross. But they did put a penis on Ken, which kind of shocked the world, and that didn't go over too well. So the gist of my rant tonight is the new Barbie movie. I can't stand Barbie. I had a dog that thought the same way I did. We left the house one day and took my daughter, I think, to the movie theater, and we came home. My daughter had about 12 Barbies in a case. We came in, I live in a 2-story, and the Barbies were upstairs. And we walked into the foyer, and here are all these torn limbs and legs and arms and heads and hair all over the place. It was a Barbie massacre. And naturally, I smiled. And then, the Barbie movie's coming out with Oppenheimer. And, want to know which one you're going to go see, or if you're going to see both, or you're not going to see either one of them. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't have any kids or grandkids, so I don't have to worry about taking them to see the Barbie movie, and I don't plan on seeing it. If it comes out on Prime or Netflix or something, I might turn it on. That way I can turn it off if I want. But no, the previews are coming up, and these are going to be little girls, maybe little boys, little young kids in the theater watching this, and there's a lot of innuendos and stuff, and I don't agree with that. If you're going to have a Barbie movie, it should be geared to children, or should be rated R. And the stuff that I've seen so far, I wouldn't want my daughter, if she was like between 5 and 10 watching, around 12 years old maybe. But it's just unreal. And I just can't see all the advertising they're doing it. All the shows that I watch, they all have Barbie commercials. I watched The Bachelorette, and they did a little thing where each of the bachelors that was courting the lady, they all had to dress up like Ken in his outfits. There was scuba diver Ken. There was baseball player Ken. Just anything you can think of back, that Ken did. And it was ridiculous. And, all our outfits now are pink or purple, geared toward the Barbie movie. And I can see they want to advertise it to get people in the theater, but they're not going to get me in there no matter what they do. So, if you're out there, comment, let me know what your thoughts are on this whole discussion. I really don't have much more to say on Barbie besides, if you gotta go, you gotta go. I ain't. I should have named Ken Brad. That went over my head. But I'm not going to go see that skank.
Brad Pitt. Come on, man. That went over your head. He looks, he's fit for Ken, man. All right. Well, I don't give a shit about Barbie, and I can't talk the way I normally do because this is before 10 o'clock. So I don't know what to say. I can't even smoke on TV now, can I?
You usually do on the other shows.
A whole lot of different rules before 9.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's enough talk about that skank.
You're pushing those rules.
Uh-oh, who's that? Sean Spencer's here.
Sean Spencer is buffering. Buffering. There he goes.
There he is. He actually, he
Hey,
modeled.
What's up, guys?
Sean actually modeled for the
Got
Black
other
Ken.
What'd you say, Sean?
I said I thought you did a great job, Scott.
Oh, thank you. We're going to go into some other subjects tonight. I thought I'd hit up on the collecting deal to give some people an idea how they can make some extra money.
Just remember, everything you say, we're before 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And that there is a cutoff line there for anything that we usually do.
All right. Well, for anybody that has any expertise or knowledge about an item that's vintage, I started out just going to garage sales, and I'm interested in guitars and amplifiers, and that's basically what I was looking for. But I would find things like, what do they call those things when you hang upside down from the gravity boots?
Gravity boots.
Well, it's a thing you put on your body and then you hang upside down and it stretches out. Well, I got one that was a professional one from a chiropractor, and I got it for $30. And 45 minutes later, I sold it online at a garage sale broadcast for $400. So I took that money, and then I went out again, and I found some inexpensive guitars, paid very little for them, and then I sold them myself and made a big profit. And then I ran across some Gibsons and some Fenders and purchased them at a low price. And I actually bought a car, paid cash for it off the stuff that I was doing. And I never had to take any money out of my savings or checking account or anything. So that was great. But you can do that if
So you just kept flipping it.
Yeah. And then along the way, I would meet
Nice.
celebrities like my friend Richard Fortas from Guns N' Roses, and he started buying stuff from me, and I got way up on top, and he was happy, I was happy, and then he led me on to some other people, and I met people over the years in music stores, Joe Walsh, Edgar, Johnny Winter, and now we could go to the truth or lie. Am I telling the truth or am I lying?
About what part?
About meeting all these people.
The first one, I think, is the truth. I don't know about the rest.
I'm going lie. I'm going to say lie.
Well, if there was a prize, Sean would have won.
Hey.
So, no, it's just, there was a show actually on, I can't remember what the show was called, but people would go in and they'd see an ad on something to buy it, and they go in and they buy it low, and then somebody else wanted that item, so they would trade them, and they kept trading up. I think they started out with a riding lawnmower, and they ended up with a motor coach.
Wait, a motor coach?
Yep.
How much did they flip the riding lawnmower for?
They just traded off something else for it, and they kept going up and going up. They have the expertise, and they know who to call to trade with.
Huh. So a lot of it is more networking, what you're saying.
Yeah.
I've actually done that. I did that with I told you my 69. My first car was a '69 Boss Mustang, right? That car got wrecked, and it was in piss poor shape. So I traded that for a Suzuki RM 250 motorcycle, a dirt bike, and I traded the Suzuki for an old van that was in decent shape. It wasn't great shape, but I fixed it up and got the motor running right and shit. And then I traded that van off, and I actually traded that in on a new car, and I got a 72 fastback that was back then, and then I traded that 72 fastback off on a Gran Torino that was in mint condition.
Hey, people, if you're here, if you're listening to this, make a comment. I invited a bunch of people out. I guess they didn't want to join in.
There's one person in there. Yeah, please comment. Please comment. Let us know what you're thinking. What do you want to see?
If it's my friends, you're not going to be put on air. We're not going to see your face. We just want to hear your comments or see your comments.
So hey, back to the Barbie. Do you have you don't have footage of the massacre, Scott?
No, back then I didn't have an iPhone, so there was no video.
You didn't have like a camcorder?
I had one, but by the time we got in the house and all that, and my daughter was distraught, so we picked it all up, buried it in the backyard, gave him a decent burial.
Oh God. So your dog's a serial killer?
Not my dog now, but the dog I had before was. Rosie did not massacre the Barbie. It was Dee Dee.
Dee Dee destroyed Barbie. Maybe Dee Dee didn't like Barbie.
No, it's because she wanted attention from my daughter, and my daughter would play with Barbies, and the dog just didn't Barbie, so she massacred him.
That's very interesting, Scott. Also, seeing as that you said that you also did not like the Barbie, is it safe to assume that maybe you put the dog up to it?
No, but he was a smart dog. She could read my mind.
Questions.
So
read your mind, or was she trained?
No, she read my
I
mind.
mean, let's just look at the facts, Scott. All right, you came on last night and told us that you used to work with award-winning dogs, and I know that includes training them, and letting they had to be on command. So you're telling me that this dog waited for you to come home and then decided to destroy all of these Barbies in front of you?
No, she waited until we were gone to destroy him because she knew we
Oh.
would save him.
Oh, did she know when you guys? She must have known when you guys were going to be gone.
Oh, with me, most people do. They go through the whole motions of saying goodbye to their dog and kissing them. And telling them, don't worry, we're coming back for you. And you're not going to leave you alone. You're not going to be left here to die or anything like that. So
yeah, Sean brought up some good points here. I'm going to go live with this one, man. Sean?
Huh. I believe it's the truth. I mean, you can believe it because he was a dog.
Even after
he's a dog trainer.
Well, let me ask you a question, Sean. Are you ever going to call bullshit?
No, I called it on the other stuff. I definitely don't believe he knew all those extra drummers and all that stuff. He knew the one because we saw the picture, so that I didn't know that was a truth or lie. But on this one, I'm gonna call truth on this one, just because I believe Scott could do it.
I 100% believe Scott sicked the dog on the Barbies. 100%.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wait. So what am I? Is it truth or lie? Was it the dogs by itself or was it Scott? I think it was Scott. I think Scott was kind of like, you want a treat, take care of
100%. He probably put some kind of sauce on them that the dogs loved and made them look good.
Yeah, I'm the godfather of dogs.
I just want to know, what he was given for that successful mission. Did you give him a T-bone?
Oh, that dog got everything. Rosie doesn't get anything because we want her to live longer.
No. So is Rosie paying the price?
No, Rosie's not blamed for any of this. Rosie doesn't do
No, I say is she. That's what I'm saying. Is she paying the price because the other dog not only got everything, but the other dog apparently was obedient and took care of your light work?
Well, the whole truth.
Barbie massacre of what year was that?
Let's see. She was probably about 6. So it was 2000, 2001, I think.
The Barbie massacre of 01.
Oh.
Kind of around. It was kind of around.
I see now. Wait. See, Scott, I get it now. See, now you can talk about it because of statute of limitations.
There you go. Yeah.
Plus, her birthday was coming up, and if you ever been to a little girl's birthday party,
no.
Every other gift is a Barbie. If you have 30 kids, you get 15 Barbies.
I don't think
I've never been to a little girl's birthday party, Scott.
Well, we used to throw my daughter elaborate birthday parties, Chuck E. Cheese with 30 kids, and she had to invite her whole school class and some of her friends. And
Sean, where are you at, man?
66. No. Leaving work. Going to get her.
Oh, okay. You said 66. I was like, oh, he's going to take that road trip. Route 66.
So, we can go on to some other things like coffee meetup groups.
Okay, you lost me.
Yeah, explain that.
There you go.
Well,
I'll be right back, guys.
I retired in 2014 from the United States Postal Service, and I was a postal god there, and they were really sad to see me leave. They gave me all sorts of awards, gave me a brand new car. Well, you know how people give me cars, so it's got to be true. Crickets.
I wish I had a cricket soundtrack.
Oh, you have to get one for next time. So you're not getting much use out of the Great Scott because I'm curbing my enthusiasm. Just give me a great Scott just for the heck of it.
Shit.
We're gonna have to change my time if I can't be a shock jock.
Yeah, you can't be a shock jock in here on this one. I don't have it, man. How about this? Here's a great Scott for you.
That's not me. It's got too much hair.
Well, if you let the sides grow out.
What, and then tie the hair up on top of my head? So to get back to the coffee meetup groups, I retired in 2014 from the United States Postal Service. I was going to say USPS, but some of the viewers out there, which I don't see, we don't have any. It says 0. Don't have to really explain that, but my wife was working and I was kind of lonely and I really don't have a lot of friends. So I advertised in a social media thing that's called Nextdoor. And I said, I'm starting up a coffee meetup group and we're going to be going to Panera's or St. Louis Bread Company. And I said, this is not a hookup group. It's just a group of people getting together just to talk about, their life and what's going on and share our happy times and all that together. And I got a overwhelming response to it. And I started a group and it was started out, it was only like 8 people. And then it got up to like 16, which was kind of large because you can't find a table that large. And, everybody was kind of spread out and they formed little cliques and groups and stuff. So that didn't work out too well. But there was a couple ladies there. They were younger than most of us. And they decided it was a hookup group. And they were kind of teasing me and stuff. And I said, it's not a hookup group. I said, if anybody wants to date each other, it's fine with me. Just do it, incognito, go to another part of the coffee shop. And we were sitting there and my cousin was with us that day. And the one lady that wanted a hookup group, she just turned to me and I didn't have any designs on it. I know my friends know what my wife looks like. And I always say, have you seen my wife? I have nothing. I got nothing. So, but she turns to me in front of my cousin when we're just discussing everyday things. And she says, Scott, I said, what's that? She goes, you wouldn't have a chance with any of the ladies in this group. My cousin looked at me and I looked at him and we just kind of shrugged our shoulders and then we let it go. But I disbanded that group and restarted it. And the one that got mad at me and said that, she knew where I lived and she drove past my house one day. I was outside cutting the grass and she whipped in my driveway and started hooping and hollering at me. Why did you unfriend me on Facebook? And this and that. And it was uncomfortable. Now we're down to between 6 to 9 people at our coffee meetups and it's comfortable. Sometimes us old folks, we kind of talk over each other and sometimes conversations get crossed and people get mad. You interrupted me when I was giving a punchline, or you never listen to my stories. You're not interested. Most of us are like in our late 60s, early 70s, but we have an 87-year-old lady that comes in. She's the aunt of one of the other group members, and she gets so mad she starts screaming at the top of her lungs and saying obscenities and all sorts of stuff, and everybody kind of flinches at her. I just let her go on, and that's it. There's one.
Was there anybody that has a memory loss, or not memory loss, but hearing loss issues that could contribute to all the loudness?
No, actually, the 87-year-old lady, she's the healthiest of us all. She doesn't have diabetes. She doesn't have a heart condition. She doesn't take any.
No, I'm talking about the rest of the group.
No.
Everybody just likes to talk over each other?
No, we do have one gentleman that is in the group, and he kind of goes off the subject, kind of like Alex Schomburg. And we'll be talking about something, and he just goes off on a tangent with something else. And it's like, they all look at me because he's my friend and said, "What the hell is he talking about?" I said, "Hell if I."
Is that how people look at you, Johnny, whenever Scott starts going off the deep end?
Look, man, I have nothing.
He's got nothing. That's my line. I always say I got nothing when you guys are talking about football, hockey, basketball. I'm only interested in football.
You know enough. You know enough. I think you actually do pretty good when it comes to the Rams. Until you start saying they're going to the Super Bowl and all that good stuff. But you know, it happens.
Well, not to rub it in, but I was looking at the odds, and we're like 50 to 1, and the Commanders are 80 to 1.
Yep. However, tomorrow NFL's going to do the vote, and it looks like Snyder might be out, so that might change a little bit.
He's not out already. I thought he was already out.
No, we had to wait for the owners to they had to vote on, you know, if these guys had enough money, if they wanted these guys in, which is surprising because most people are like, dude, it doesn't matter. We just want Dan Snyder out, but they had to go through the vetting process, and it's looking like everything will come to fruition tomorrow.
I'm hoping Stan Kroenke goes through the same thing.
Nah. How long has he been there?
Not sure. Georgia Frontier owned the team, and when they moved to St. Louis in '95, he was the minority owner. And then they came in and won the Super Bowl 3 years later.
Yep.
So it was 99. And then Georgia died in 2008 or 09. And then
oh wow, rest in peace.
Yeah, he announced that he was going to move the Rams back to LA, and that put St. Louis fans in an uproar. And we already had the plans to build a new stadium farm right on the riverfront, and it was going to be a state-of-the-art stadium. And he didn't even want to negotiate. He didn't talk. He disappeared. So as you know, I think it was the settlement with St. Louis was $875 million. They were going for $1 billion, but then after they settled with that, St. Louis County, and the convention center, they were always all fighting over who was going to get what. So I was saying they should just put it in a high yield certificate of deposit or money market and keep it for when we can get an expansion team, or when the Jacksonville Jaguars decide they're moving here to St. Louis.
Sean.
That's funny. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
About the Oppenheimer?
Yeah, which one?
Barbie.
You'd go see Barbie over Oppenheimer?
Yeah. I've seen the previews for Barbie, and I agree with Scott that I don't think that's made for kids, but at the same time, I also agree that it's none of these little movies aren't made for kids anymore, even though they're supposed to be.
Okay. I got something to say about this. He said something about filled with innuendo.
Yeah.
Walt Disney's cartoons were so loaded with innuendo, it was pathetic. All right?
That's true.
It's no more or worse today than it was then. Actually, I think a lot less today than it was then.
Because it's. I think it's a lot more today because.
Or maybe I just read into everything I watched back then a lot more.
Well, I think you're smarter than the average guy, so you picked up on a lot of that stuff. A lot of people still don't pick up on that, but the stuff that they have out now, it's pretty blatant, and it's the fact that when all of us were growing up, we didn't have the capabilities to see some of this stuff, even accidentally, unless we maybe we're watching TV with our parents or something like that, and it came on. These kids these days, I've taught kids that are like 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade with a cell phone. They can see all of this stuff, and it makes like they see it on different levels. You know, like
Well, I can see.
Now
I
the
can
funny
see.
part.
I can see where Hollywood wants to put in some stuff because the adults are there to keep their
I
interest.
still think Sean's lying though. I think he'd go see Oppenheimer first.
Yeah, I call that a lie too.
Yeah, I think that's BS.
No, I'm not. What is Oppenheimer?
The guy who made the atomic bomb. You're a historian, man. You
I do
love
like that.
documentaries and stuff. So.
I do like that. I do like that. So, well, now that I know what Oppenheimer is, I would probably do that before I saw Barbie. Then yes.
Okay. Now you're.
I just didn't know what Oppenheimer was. If you would have said the atomic bomb, dude, yeah, I've seen. I like that preview. That preview looks interesting. But at the same time, I think the Barbie one looks hilarious because I think it's going against the whole normal Barbie image. You know what I mean? It's kind of playing off that and kind of bringing her into the real world, and I think that is intriguing to me. You know, as opposed to seeing
too much color
how we
on
almost went
without
through.
acid.
Huh?
Yeah, it's just too much color in that movie for me without acid.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, there's a scene, and I just caught a glimpse of it, and the gist is that she's walking past a bunch of construction workers, and they're all wolf whistling at her and stuff like that, and then they apologize to her. She says, "That's okay, because I'm not anatomically correct."
I don't see the issue with that at all, man. I guess we're from different eras.
Yeah, but
we're
when you're
from
with
the same era, I don't. So,
but
I
when
really
you're with
don't
a 5-year-old to 10-year-old girl, they're going to say, "What do they mean?" And then you got to explain it to them.
No. I'm going to tell you something, and as far as I know, it's still the same today as it was back when I was a kid. Girls are fucking ruthless when they're young. Young girls, and when I was in grade school, man, the girls were the people that I was afraid of the most. They were ruthless, and the shit that came out of their mouths, if their mothers had ever heard that crap, then it'd have been on.
Yeah, but you're saying that they're gonna know what anatomically correct means?
Yeah,
I know some adults that don't know what anatomically
That's
correct
my
means.
point. I mean, if that's where I was talking about the old school Walt Disney movies. If he's worried about anatomically correct, man, you don't go back and watch any of the old Walt Disney cartoons.
Well, I mean, if you go back to the old days with like Grimm's fairy tales and all that, there's child abuse in those.
Well,
there's killing. There's
the wolf whistle, man. Come on, Walt Disney made it famous with the wolf whistling at the girl.
Little Red Riding Hood.
So all right, you agree then, right? So what's your issue with anatomically correct? At least they're learning English.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this, Johnny. With all those things that we saw back then, if maybe you didn't know what they were, and your parents weren't trying to tell you, because I came up in a household that was very waspy, very church going. We're not going to tell you X, Y, and Z, and I didn't have any means, of figuring any of this stuff out unless I'm staying up super late and sneaking around corners and that type of thing. Nowadays, if a kid wants to know what anatomically correct is, they say, "Okay, Siri, what does this mean?" And it's easier now. So that's why I'm saying it's more accessible for them now to do it. I completely agree with you that a lot of stuff was still done back then, but a lot of stuff was done back then. I mean, come on, man! All these cartoons you're talking about didn't have anybody that looked like me in them. You know what I mean? Exactly. There was a consensus that was kind of like, we're not going to put.
Oh, they had parodies of people that looked like you. That was
they had,
and even back then I thought that was stupid.
But that's what I'm saying. Like so then it was a lot of suggestions. Now they basically say it in a way that's supposedly over your head, but at the same time, most people can understand it.
Right.
Let's see what Siri has to say about this. Siri, what does anatomically correct mean?
Oh my God.
Anatomically correct means of a doll having the sexual organs plainly represented.
Yep.
Could you hear that?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we heard it.
So that's that's what they'll get, and then they'll say sexual organs. What is that? And then all of a sudden they go into that stuff. As opposed to when we were younger, we heard something like that, and we might have giggled or might have laughed, and somebody might have said, "Oh, don't repeat that or don't listen to that." And that was the end of it, unless we were really curious. Now, me, I was one of those really sheltered, nervous kids, so I wasn't gonna look stuff up. But at the same time, my dad was in the
I was a
medical.
military brat, okay, and
Well,
then
same here.
worked at a drive-in. My dad was ran a drive-in part-time when I was like 13 and shit. So the world didn't pass me by.
Well, okay, so here's the flip side to what I was saying. So where I was very sheltered, my dad was also a military guy, so I was able to see a lot of that stuff. But at the same time, he was in the medical field. So the way
So
that I learned the
anatomically
birds and the
correct would have
bees,
been right up your alley then.
huh?
So anatomically correct would have been right up your alley then.
Well, put you this way, I knew everything that I had at an extremely young age because the way that my dad taught me the birds and the bees is he got out one of his medical books. He turned to the page that talked about STDs with all the graphic images, and he pointed to it and he said, "Do you want that?" And I said, "No, of course not." And he said, "All right, don't have sex." And that was the end of it. But he was very blunt with everything that he showed me on that. So I wouldn't have known what anatomically correct is, but if you would have said, "What's that thing growing on my little dingling?" then I would have been like, "Oh, well, that's a da." I would have been able to tell you. So terminology is a big thing, and nowadays they are putting it in there to the point where if you stop it and rewind it, and you can hear what they're saying or see what they're saying, it's just different now. Now I agree that back when there was some stuff they got away with. Pepe Le Pew,
I can
going
end
near
this. I can end
racist,
this real
rapist.
easy. There's not a single girl or boy who played with those dolls when they were kids that didn't look down and see the difference.
Yeah, Pepe Le Pew, he was one of those guys that was looked at on the Me Too era.
Well, he was a stalker, man. Come on.
And he grabbed her against her will, and
Yeah.
forced herself. And that's like telling kids thought that was funny, so they were trying to do that to their little girlfriends. I have to say, when I was 5 years old, I liked girls, and I would do anything with them just to be around them. I'd play Barbie, I'd play tea parties, and all that. And then when Barbie came out, I was in heaven because the first thing I did when I got a hold of one is I went like this. It ain't nothing.
I hated girls until I figured out that they pick on you because they like you. Once I figured that out, it was on.
It was the same thing with boys. The boys pick on girls because they like them. My daughter used to get picked on, and I told her that's because the boys like you. And she says, no, they don't. And then years later, they were all standing at my door wanting her to come out so they could ask her out. And I said, she's too young to date.
When was that? How old was she then?
Oh, probably about.
Remember, this is a before primetime show.
Somewhere between 12 and 14.
Okay.
She wasn't allowed to wear makeup until she was 16.
Oh, my guy. Oh, yeah. If I had a daughter, man, she wouldn't be dating until she was 30. Matter of fact, she wouldn't date until she's 33.
That young?
She can, if she can last longer than our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, then she can date.
Yeah.
All right.
It was like male chauvinism and discrimination back when Barbie came out because the only profession she had was a secretary, a nurse, or a flight attendant. They weren't lawyers, doctors, accountants, and all that. And then later on, Barbie got it. And that's another pet peeve of mine is the Barbies now, they're selling on eBay the sets that gives you the Ken, the Barbie, and Barbie's Corvette.
Wow.
$359 they're selling for.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. And
much?
Just a regular Barbie now, I think it's like $149. And then you get all.
So it's not like a vintage Barbie?
No, vintage Barbies are worth between $2,000 and $10,000, depending on which one it is, and how.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
If it's still in the box, That's another one of my gripes is I would buy my daughter. I didn't really buy her, but my cousin, who's a female, she would buy her these limited edition Barbies that were in the box, and she told Brianna that you don't take it out of the box. It's not to play with.
No.
So
No.
they'd be up in a room, then you go up there, and here was the box all ripped up and not even kept, in good condition, and she's playing with the Barbie. And the next thing I know, my dog's ripping the head off.
But I mean, be honest. Could you tell a kid, "Here's a toy, but don't play with it"? Like I had, because my dad and me had these little model cars, and he would be like, "Don't play with it." Well, of course I'm gonna play with it. I mean, it's a car. It's what I wanted.
Well, it's like the Hot Wheel red lines. They're worth a lot of money, and if they're not, the paint's not chipped on them, and they're good shape, and the wheels aren't all wobbly, you can get a lot of bucks for them. I've got about 20 of them in a box, but they're not in super good shape.
Scott still has your van in a box.
I know it.
Yes.
That's worth something. Is that a puzzle or is that
It's an actual model.
A model? Oh wow!
You glue it together and put all the decals and stripes and stuff on it and paint it.
Oh wow! No, that is fun. Me and my dad put together a B-52 when I was younger. Those model planes and an F-16 Tomcat.
Yeah, I had the submarine from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Oh,
I put that together. I wish I had that now. My dad actually owned a hobby shop in his early years, and he had all sorts of model airplanes. The ones that you put gasoline and you launch them by hand, and they fly around until they ran out of gas. You have to go chase them. And it was like the early drones.
Yeah.
And then later on he got the radio control ones. But I was always impressed because he had this one that had like a wingspan of about 8 feet.
Well, the first ones were wired. I used to get them all the time, man. The wired, you put them on. They were on wires, and you just walk around in a circle with the damn things until they ran out of gas.
You guys remember Helios? It was a blimp, and you got a tank of helium, and you filled it up, and it had wires to it, and then it had clear weights that you put in it, so you could keep it at a certain height in the ring, and then you had a controller that little fans on it.
Do you remember this, Johnny?
Yeah, barely.
It's like
you got to remember, you guys got at least 20 years on them.
I was into model rockets mostly, man. Me and my dad did a lot of rocket models and stuff, shooting them off. That was a blast, dude. I loved them.
Yeah, my brother was into that for a while, and then he got discouraged with it, and then he started making his own thermite nuclear-powered CO2 cartridges.
Nuclear.
Now, I was into watching all my friends do the bottle rockets because my mother told me that those were too dangerous, and I was going to blow my arm off. So there that goes.
You hook it to a battery at your car, or you're at least 100 foot away from it, man, or 50 foot away from it.
Yeah, but if you get too close, then he wouldn't be anatomically correct anymore.
The ones I liked the most were the ones with the camera in them, man. The Apollo-sized ones. At the time, they were called the Apollos. They were like 4.5 foot tall, and they carried a camera in them in their load. And once it discharged, the payload discharged from the rocket itself, and the chutes came out, that it would start taking pictures, man. It was cool as shit.
Oh wow! When was this?
In the 70s.
And that was before GoPro.
Yep.
And you get like a little printed Polaroid picture of what it took.
Yeah, you go up and you take it in, and you get it printed up, the film printed up just like you used to do.
Wow, you guys, this is amazing. I'm learning about stuff from beyond my years.
Oh man, I'm out of here.
Oh man, you were deprived of Howdy Doody then too?
Oh yeah.
Nobody was deprived of Howdy Doody. We endured.
It's Howdy Doody time.
Oh,
it's Howdy
God.
Doody
That
time.
was the worst. Oh, I hate that song.
In Romper Room, Miss Lois looking through her magnifying glass, she said, "I can see Richard, I can see Sally," and I kept waiting for my name, and it never came up. So I just
Aw.
decided I didn't have to put any pants on when I was watching the show.
I live in the hometown of Mr. Rogers. So they have a bench uptown in where is that, by Plaza? Or is it I think it's either in Market Square by the Plaza with Mr. Rogers sitting on a bench there with a sweater and stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, I like it when Eddie Murphy did his imitation of Mr. Rogers.
Okay, we can't talk about that right now.
We've talked about anatomically correct, but we can't talk
We
about
are
Eddie Murphy.
contractually obligated to only talk about Mr. Rogers, Eddie Murphy's version, when Anthony is on the show.
Oh, that makes sense.
What, does he do a Mr. Rogers imitation?
Oh my God! You should.
Who
hear
doesn't he do an imitation of?
He must be entertaining when he goes to the mall or.
Mr. Handy is entertaining all the time.
Mhm.
I
You
think
should see him.
he probably is
Good.
entertaining when he's snoring.
You should see him, Scott, when he does, or Johnny too, when he does karaoke. Because I mean,
Yeah.
he really takes control.
I've seen
of
those
the room.
videos, man. I've seen those
Oh, yeah.
videos. Yeah.
He knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah.
He
he
did
does.
it for almost 20 years.
I haven't seen Janae putting out any videos of her singing lately.
Yeah, I try to get her to sing as much as possible, but she's got such a busy schedule.
She should be in Hollywood, man. I'm telling you.
I agree. She was on The Voice.
Yeah.
She got all the way
you're the
through.
one that told me that originally to begin with, actually.
Yeah, I got to find that video. I know she's got it. She got all the way to the blind auditions where they turn around.
Yeah.
But and they came to where school I used to work at, where she was working. They interviewed everybody. I mean, they were on TV the whole nine, and nobody ended up turning around. She did "Happy" by Pharrell.
Yeah.
But Pharrell was one of the judges. So even after it was over and they didn't turn around, he came up and gave her a hug and he was like, "You did. It was so amazing. It was just, it was great.
That's
Keep
awesome.
singing, da da da." So I was like, wow.
And then Delilah Crespo, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
She's always going out to karaoke nights. I think
Her
her boyfriend.
So funny
Kevin,
story. Yeah, her boyfriend. Yeah, he's a karaoke DJ. Funny story. The way I met her and Nick was during the pandemic. They obviously Delilah's boyfriend. He does karaoke. So at that time he was doing online karaoke. Well, Kat has a twin sister who lives in Chicago, and they're friends with that whole crew. So we ended up just joining them on online karaoke one night, and we started doing it a lot, and that's when I started talking football with Nick and Delilah, and that's what started up the round table after that. It was during that karaoke thing. But they're doing that. They would do that like almost every day of the week online. I mean, it really helped Kat and I because we were going at each other because it was just like, oh my God, we can't go anywhere. She was teaching from home. I did the overnights. So all our awake hours were spent together.
Man, I'm feeling like the high school girl at the prom dance. There's nobody coming up and commenting or anything. And I feel like that girl that nobody's asking to dance.
Yeah, we can cut this show if you want to.
At least I'm not going to get pregnant. So